After the American Civil War, millions of migrants are going to move to the western part of the United States. Many of these migrants are going to be immigrants that came from Northern Europe and from Canada, and they're going to move to areas like the Dakotas, Minnesota, Montana, and Wyoming. Many of these immigrants are going to be from places like Germany, Scandinavia, and from Ireland. There's also going to be a group of individuals that move from within the United States, and these people are called the Exoders. And these are African Americans that were former slaves that are going to move out west from the South. And in the early 1880s, more than 20,000 are going to move from the South to the West. And the reason why they're called Exoders is because they are making an exodus from the South in search of a haven from racism and poverty. There are many towns that are going to pop up throughout the West that will be mining towns, and they call them boom towns because they literally pop up overnight and turn into these major cities. One really good example is Tombstone, Arizona. It was a major silver site in the 1870s, and within 4 years, it is going to become one of the fastest growing mining towns in the Southwest. And the town will grow to have a bowling alley, 4 churches, a school, 2 banks, and even 3 newspapers within 4 years of being founded. Most boom towns are only going to last a few years, and once the mines are all mined out, people move on to the next big town, and they'll end up becoming ghost towns. But mining is going to be one of the major reasons why people are moving out west. Especially men. And you could see from this map, everything that is in the yellowish orange color is going to be silver and gold mining. And so you could see most of this is taking place out west. So other areas that are going to be mined at the time are going to be for coal mining, which is going to take place a lot within the Appalachian Mountains, and a little bit in Iowa and Kansas. Another industry that's going to be very successful in the West is going to be the cattle industry. And there's going to be a huge cattle boom that takes place in the mid to late 1800s. And a lot of this has to do with the expansion of the railroad. Railroad lines have been built throughout the West now, and it's going to make it easier for people to transport goods as well as cattle. And so one individual comes up with an idea. His name is Joseph G. McCoy, and he's from Illinois, and he's a livestock dealer. So he's going to purchase 250 acres of land in Abilene, Kansas. And what he wants to do is he wants cattle ranchers that have cattle in Texas to get their cattle up to Kansas, where McCoy is going to have them loaded onto freight cars and sent directly to Chicago, where they'll be slaughtered. So McCoy is going to send one of his workers to Texas to convince cattle owners to push their herds north, and he is successful. So they get them to Kansas, they're going to be shipped to Chicago, and that is where they will be slaughtered. Abilene is going to really flourish. By 1871, 700,000 cattle will pass through the town every year, headed to Chicago. And the rise of the cattle industry helped to make Chicago one of the fastest growing cities in the nation at the time. And the invention of the refrigerator car is also going to lead to an increase in the beef industry, because at the time most Americans were eating pork because beef went bad so quickly. Pork could be salted. So now that McCoy was able to get the cattle, as you can see from this map, coming from Texas up to Kansas and right to where the railroad lines are, he is able to increase cattle production through the slaughterhouses and increase American consumption of beef.